What's going on, y'all? I'm Brady and welcome back to my Book Nook. So today's video is pretty different from anything I've done on the channel before, but it's a video I've been excited for a little while to shoot. So if you've been in the book space, I'm sure you've heard of the subscription service Book of the Month, where I think it's $16 a month. You get a credit for one of the 7 books that they pick, and then they ship it to you in this nice little blue box, and it's good fun. You can have add-ons and stuff. So it's just a nice little subscription service for readers to kind of have someone curate your reading on a monthly basis for you. So a couple years ago, I got the subscription service as a gift when I was in college. I used it for the trial, loved it, and I was like, I'm not gonna do this right now. But after I graduated college and got a full-time job, I kicked it back up and have been amassing a decent little pile. Because like I said, it's like $11 to add on a nice hardcover book after that. So for like 16 bucks and then $11 for 2 more books, for $11 a piece for 2 more books, not $11 total. So you're paying a very minimal amount for super nice hardcover books. So now that I've done that for a few months, I've built quite this nice little collection of books that I have not read many of because I'm always like, I'll get around to them, and then they've kind of just sat on the shelf. So today, instead of judging the books based on their content, I'm going to judge them very vainly based on the quality of their covers and which books I'm most excited to read solely based off the covers. So I kind of have them broken into 4 categories. The bottom tier is books that I'm legitimately surprised I bought just based off the cover. The next group is bland. They're nothing special. They're pretty just meh. Next up, we have nice looking covers. Books that are kind of eye catchers, books that are like, I really like them. And they kind of pull your attention. And then lastly, we have the cream of the crop. These are the ones that they put in display cases. These are the books you put front facing on your shelf because they're too gorgeous not to look at. So let's get started. At 22, I have The Lies I Tell. I think this is an atrocious cover. I cannot stand it. From what I remember, this is a big mystery book, but cover let me down, man. If this is just me, this is a big pet peeve I have. If you put a real face on the cover of a book, I automatically like it less. And it is, I don't know why, it's just something I do. 21, again with the face theme, The Night Swim. Like I said, I'm not crazy about the half face there. I don't like the blue and yellow color palette with this, especially with like the wave. It does not look good, and I'm just not crazy about it. Again with the face trend, we have The Silent Patient, which I believe this ended up being a Book of the Year award for Book of the Month. And I've heard excellent things about people eat this book up. People love Alex Michaelides because he also has The Maidens, which I know a ton of people who've read and just rave about. But this cover blows. Like, this is just not a good cover. Like, this does not intrigue me. This does not make me want to read this. This is a book I would look over if I went to the store, if I didn't already know its reputation. Next up, coming in at 19, we have Like a Sister. Again, another like mystery thriller type, but it's just bland. It's just not good. I don't like the pink and white and red color scheme. I think red and white is fine, but you throw that pink in there and it just kind of blends and looks gross to me. And then another big time one. This actually is, it says on the thing, it is a Book of the Year winner for 2019. That is Daisy Jones and the Six. Another one whose reputation precedes itself. I think the picture of the face is fine. I think where it's not taking up the full page, you kind of have these nice little sectored sections. And I think it doesn't overwhelm because it kind of looks almost photo worked, like a lot of photo work into it. I don't think it takes away that much. It still is just not a very interesting cover, so it doesn't lose that many points. And the color palette's decent. You know, I think they didn't try to do too much. All right, I think this should be 17. Maybe I'm bugging, I don't know. So at 17, we have Lessons in Chemistry. I love this artwork. I hate the color palette. This is an atrocious color palette. You should not put all these colors together. That looks terrible. This is a book that's big on Book Talk right now. I've heard a lot of people love it. And as a science student, I believe it's about a student who's studying STEM. So the content, I think, is going to be great. I think it's going to be a fun little quirky read, but Jesus, to look at this thing, it is an eyesore. Oh no, I just looked at the actual book itself, same color palette. So, I don't know. We'll see if I get around to it soon. So that is the bottom 6. Next up, we have the nothing exciting, very bland, kind of just, we got through. So first we have All the Ugly and Wonderful Things. This is a book I tried to get to in June, but when I went through my big reading slump, didn't get around to it. But this is just a very plain cover. You know, it's black, it's got the little speckles in it. It's got the nice little wheat field on here. Nothing spectacular. So, I don't know. Next up, we have A Flicker in the Dark. It's neat, but it's very bland. It blends in. So if you looked at any other thriller, anything else, it looks like most other books on the bookshelf. It's not going to stand out in any way, but I've heard it's pretty good little mystery. Next up, we have Cast. This is one of the few nonfiction books that I've bought. I think maybe the only nonfiction book I've bought through this subscription service. But it's blends in pretty much. This kind of has an exception to my face rule because it's many faces, and it makes sense for the idea of this, the whole caste system and like societal hierarchies. So it gets a pass, but again, it's very plain. Like I said, if you saw this on the shelf, it wouldn't stand out. Next up, this is one of the few books I have, and I think this may have been the first book I ever got on it. That is The Shadows by Alex North. Great book, a lot of fun, but the cover's pretty bland. I mean, it's a neat little skeletal hand, but that's about all. I mean, you got the little people here, which is a nice little detail, but black, white, little gold trimming, it's nothing. Good book, nothing to write home about when it comes to the cover. Next up, we have Darling Girl, which I believe is a Peter Pan retelling. Like I said, nice verdant green book, nice gold trim, but it's just pretty plain. It doesn't tell me a whole lot. Next up, and this is one that I know a lot of people love this cover, but I was pretty blah about, is A River Enchanted. Like I said, you really can't tell too much about this book just by its cover, but like I said, I've heard great things about it. Okay, that's that category. Next up, we have the pretty solid, pretty standout little eye catchers. We got, and this may be a bold claim, but I know it stands out for me just mainly color palette wise. That is Lucy Foley's The Paris Apartment. I have read this. This is an excellent thriller, and maybe I'm partial to it because I've read it, but I just think that hot pink lettering on that picture of a building looks so nice and stands out. Like, that color catches my eye. I feel like a lot of books don't use such a hot pink on a dark background, but when they do, I feel like it stands out. And I think this does a great job of embracing that. Next up is one of my most recent pickups from this thing, and that is Blake Crouch's Upgrade. I love the minimal look. I love the little DNA helix here, but one thing I don't like is the over minimalism. I think they could do more with this. I think it's too plain. The minimalism gets it so far, but then it won't be able to take that next step. I believe minimal covers are great, but they hold themselves back from what they really could be. And I think this had a lot of potential, but still solid grade A cover that catches your eye. Half Sick of Shadows is up next. I think it's another eye catcher. Is that not just beautiful? I think that's just a great looking cover. I love the trim. I love the green, the deep green, the black, and the gold color palette with that sword. It's got that nice contrast. I think it stands out. I think this is a book that like you see and you want to investigate more into it. So that's that. Next is a book I hear all about, and that is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. And I think that is just a standout cover. This is a minimal cover that I think does a great job embracing it. It's got that foil look to it. It's got the constellation, so that's interesting. Makes me wonder what's going on there. And I just think that black and gold color palette's just very nice. Like I said, I feel like more could be done with this to make it just an absolute standout, like a display case one, but great cover no less. Next up, we have a book that is all over BookTok, along with her other book, Song of Achilles, and that is Miss Madeline Miller's Circe. Again, another book of the year for 2018 for book of the month. That was a mouthful. But yeah, I think this is just a gorgeous cover. I think the side does it justice. I love that trim, the very Grecian urn look to it. It's just phenomenal. Great stuff. I feel like a lot of people would put this in that top tier, but I have a few that I think just stand out head and shoulders. And next up, I don't know what it is about this cover that I just love. I think it's color palette mixed with a picture, mixed with the just font they use. That is Lincoln Highway. This is a novel I would love to read. I'm not big into historical fiction, but I think it is going to be a great one. So I love that blue, red, white, and blue. You got the very American. You got the kind of industrial era steam engine or train there, and I just think it's just such a nice looking book. It's a thickie though. Like, that's a hefty book, but it's something I'm stoked to read. And then next up, we have the showstoppers. We have the books that you just cannot help but adore and read. And like, these are things you want to put standing face out because they are just that gorgeous. Like, you don't want them to just sit on the shelf and hide. First and foremost, we have Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I think that cover, just that rainbow cascade there, I think the waves going, like that classic Japanese painting. I can't even remember the name of it, even though I have a poster right there. I love that pose. I love that image, and then just to have that beautiful lettering on it is just phenomenal. It is something that I love to show off just because it's such a beautiful book. Next up is another big BookTok book, and that is The Love Hypothesis. I adore this art style and this color palette. I think everything comes together to make a very eye-catching book that you just can't help but want to read. And that's mainly the reason I picked it up, because like I said, I'm not a big romance guy. I don't mind to try it. I've read some romance as of late, but I think just this cover alone has put it head above a lot of other of the romance books that gets recommended on like Bookstagram and BookTok and all that. So it stood out head and shoulders above its competition and has made me want to read it. And it's one I'm hoping to get around to soon, sooner rather than later. Next up, I had never heard of this until I saw it on Book of the Month. I saw the cover and it was immediate. I didn't even need to see what it was about. I still don't even know what it's about. I know it's fantasy because I've seen some fantasy booktubers talk about it and stuff, but that is, I don't even know how you say it. Kai. I know it's about Hindu, like, gods and stuff, and just, do I even need to say anything? Just look at that cover. I believe this is Vaishnavi Patel's like debut novel. I could be wrong on that, but from what I remember, like, I think this is just gorgeous. The orange and black with that gold and shiny trim, and just the silhouette. Oh, that is some top tier stuff right there. And in first, possibly my favorite cover of any book that I own, and that is Miss Kylie Baker's Keeper of the Night. I've talked about this book at length throughout my channel and throughout my other forms of socials. I am so excited about this. This was Miss Kylie Baker's debut novel. She's got Empress of Time, which is the sequel to the duology, coming out in October, I believe. But oh man, am I hyped. I love this cover. This was another one that I didn't even need to read what it was about. And then I got it, I read it, and the book content is even somehow better than the cover. And just look at that cover. That thing is just phenomenal. Phenomenal. I love it. So those are the 22 books. These are the 22 Book of the Month books that I currently own, and that is my rating for their covers. So what do you think should be one? Was there anything I ranked that Yins disagree with? Is there any other books that you think stand out head and shoulders above other books? And what do you look for when you're looking for book covers? Let me know all that down below. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want to see more content like this, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to make it. That's all I got for you guys today, but until next time, stay reading, y'all.